Hi everyone, I hope you are well, and I'm really happy to be back with this new video about the Lionsgate portal. And we have the 888 Lionsgate portal this year, so this is really going to be a very special and powerful portal. Probably one of the most powerful that we've experienced in the past years. So I will be sharing with you a lot of information, because a lot of information came through. I really hope that everything I transmit to you in this video is going to be coherent and that it's going to be easy to digest, because you know it was quite dense in a way. But I will also explain why humanity is really going through this great initiation that will lead to revelation. The Lionsgate portal is probably one of my favorite portals of the year, because it's always powerful, it's always elevating, and this year it's going to be specifically powerful because we have the number 888. So of course the number 8 relates to the symbol of infinity. And so we really have this energy of infinity, and also a very powerful energy, like a major expansion of consciousness. So during this portal, there's always a very strong and powerful influx of light frequencies from the cosmos. And ever more so this year, it's going to be, wow, one hell of a ride, I have to say, because humanity is really, you know, at the crossroads right now. We are really in this times of shift like we've never experienced before. So of course it's going to be, you know, sometimes quite a shaky ride, but it's all going to be fine in the end. As I said, there was a lot of information coming through, and I was quite surprised because there is a specific being that connected with me and transmitted a very powerful message, and that being is Richard Lionheart. So I didn't know much about Richard Lionheart, I have to say, so I actually did some research, a quick research after receiving his message, and it's very interesting. But first of all, I'm just going to read the message that was transmitted. The grail of peace, love, and forgiveness is poured into the hearts of all. The revelation of the grace of God Almighty flows through each and every one of us. Serve with courage and determination, for your soul has a purpose on this earth. The land of the brave is worth fighting for. No battle shall be vain, victory shall prevail, and love shall be its only trophy. Wake up before dawn and see the light of Christ revealed. So I still have shivers when I say that message right now, because I thought it was so powerful, and I invite you also to read it again. I'll probably also share it on social media, so you'll also have the text. And as I said, I didn't know exactly who he was. I knew, of course, his name. And the interesting thing also is that he is known for being the King of England, but actually he was born in England, but raised in France. So he was the son of Eleanor of Aquitaine and Henry II. So he grew up in France. He spoke French. He didn't really speak English in the end. He spoke Latin, and he was really famous for having all these kind of chivalric values, like of courage. He was really valiant. He was also, that's really the funny thing also, because before he transmitted that message to me, I was hearing him kind of sing or recite a poem of some sort, because it was quite rhythmic. There were also, you know, there were rhymes. I was so immersed in that moment that I didn't have the chance to transcribe exactly what he was saying, but I really felt like a song, almost like a chant, a song. And funnily enough, when I did my research, I found out that he was actually a poet. And he was also a very great supporter of the troubadours, which were the artists in the medieval times, which had this tradition of the court of love. So they would chant and they would recite poems for the feminine, and there was really this aspect of, you know, like this knight shining armor aspect, which really I think Richard Lionheart embodies. And also he's also famous, of course, because he went to Jerusalem to take back Jerusalem from the hands of the Saracens. So also interesting fact, because I wasn't sure actually about, you know, the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur. Everything got mixed up in my head. And it's funny because that story, the story of Knights of the Round Table and the Holy Grail, was written just before he was born. And later on, it is said that he was uniting around a round table with his knights, and he said that he had in his possession the sword, the magic sword of Excalibur. So really interesting. There is definitely a link with King Arthur here, and also with the Grail, obviously. And finally, the king, Richard Lionheart, was killed by a sniper, a sniper that actually, you know, shot an arrow at him. So I thought that was really funny because there was kind of a synchronicity with what happened with an ex-US president recently. So that's what are the odds, you know. And coming back to the message that he transmitted, I'm not going to give you an interpretation, like a fixed interpretation, because I think it's really interesting that everyone really has his own interpretation. I'm just going to say, you know, regarding maybe some words he used, like he used the word grail. So the grail is not only a physical object, but the grail represents also knowledge. Also, he used the word battle. I think he refers to the spiritual battle that is going on right now on Earth and has been going on for quite some time. And finally, when he talks about the light of Christ, for me, it's really the light of Christ consciousness that is being revealed. So that's the only things I'm going to say. And for the rest, I really invite you to read that message again and to really feel it into yourself. I also had visions of fire. I saw like a circle of fire, and lots of fire. So of course, when I saw the circle of fire, it reminded me of what I shared during the forecast for 2024, where I talked about the baptism of fire, which is a form of initiation, of course. So, you know, like jumping through that circle of fire can be really seen as an initiation. But it also reminded me of the Olympic Games, like the rings of the Olympic Games. Of course, we know also that there was this opening ceremony that was quite something. A lot of things were shown. They are really trying, like, to, you know, to have us angry and in reaction. But for me, it was really like almost like they are showing their own death ceremony in a way. This theme of fire, you know, it's really the theme of the year, and it's always difficult to say if when I'm shown these kinds of images, these kinds of visions, it's going to be only a metaphor, but also, or also something that is going to manifest on Earth. My feeling is that it's probably both, unfortunately. So there might be fires, there might be explosions, there might be things really around fire. And I remind you that fire is also this alchemical element that purifies and transmutes. And we should really see the fire in that way. And I also saw this alignment that we have in Paris, which is the Pyramid of the Louvre. Then we have the obelisk of the Place de la Concorde. Then we have the Arc of Triumph. And then we have the Defense Arc. They are all on the same line. And that's no coincidence, of course. And this Pyramid of the Louvre also relates to the Great Pyramid of Cheops in Egypt. The Great Pyramid of Giza is really a place of high initiation, because a lot of the initiations of high masters were actually accomplished in the king's chamber in that pyramid. And this was, you know, often like a form of a difficult initiation also, but an initiation that would elevate and help the soul to ascend. And the initiates would really use also these portals when, you know, the influx of the cosmos was very strong, to actually be initiated and to elevate themselves spiritually. And of course, the Lionsgate portal also relates to that pyramid, because there is also an alignment with certain constellations, the constellation of Sirius and Orion specifically. So it also talks about galactic energies. And we know, or maybe you might not know, but we know that all this knowledge, all these initiations, and all these sacred places of high initiation were really diverted by the power of the dark. And so a couple of priests, of Egyptian priests, they actually took hold of this knowledge, this sacred knowledge that we can call maybe the occult, but really ancient knowledge from ancient civilization, and they kept it to themselves for their own power, for their own agenda. And this is something that we've been experiencing for very, very long, because we still, of course, are experiencing that today. And this relates also to Paris, because this is the same energy, and what I received in that moment is that it's really like that city really needs to be cleansed right now. It's maybe not, a coincidence that the Olympics are actually there. There needs to be this cleansing, because there's a grid there that is not used for the good, I can tell you that. And it really, because it relates to all this ancient knowledge that has been taken away from humanity. And do you know what the greatest scourge for humanity is? The greatest danger for humanity is? It's ignorance. And I'm not saying that. Most of the spiritual traditions around the world tell us that. The greatest danger for humanity is ignorance. And this relates to what I just said, which is because humanity is in this ignorance, in the dark, for millennia now, they have no clue of what is truly going on. They have no clue that there are these spiritual forces that are at play. And even, an American journalist actually talked about this recently, Tucker Carlson. He said there are these spiritual forces and they are always influencing humanity, but they are trying to make us believe, since the 20th century, that it doesn't exist, although it has always been there. It has always been there since the dawn of humanity. So this is really, the message was, stepping out of this ignorance is what is the true revelation. Stepping out of this ignorance is this true revelation for humanity. So this connects back also to the message that Richard Leidhart said when he says, "Wake up before dawn and see the light of Christ revealed." This literally means, wake up before dawn, step out of the darkness, step out of the dark and see the light that will reveal to you the truth of Christ consciousness, the truth of who you are, and also the truth of the Grail, because the Grail, as I said, represents knowledge. So the message here is really that we all carry this inner knowledge. It is imprinted in our being, in our souls, in our DNA. And we only need this, this kind of activation to kind of retrieve that knowledge that we all carry within. So that is super, super important. And this is the great initiation, these times of turbulence that we are going through. This is the initiation that will lead to revelation, which means humanity stepping out of ignorance, out of the dark. Last year I also published a text about the alchemical fire, because there were some fires already during the summer 2023. So I'm not going to talk about in detail about that here. Maybe you can find that post again, where I was talking about the reference to alchemy also within the text, the book of Revelation of Saint John, So that's really, really interesting, and we really have this current theme going on. Before we were only scraping the surface. Now we are entering this phase where we are scraping really deep. This is why there needs to be this cleanse and this deep purge. And so as I'm seeing things, that we really entered these times of turbulence on Earth, and it's almost like when you step into a plane and that you are going to arrive okay at your destination, and the destination is this new reality. You know that you're going to get there. But once you ride the plane, there might be certain turbulence going on, certain phases where it's going to be turbulent, and we are currently in that. And maybe you notice that when you're on a plane and it happens, some people get really easily panicked, and some other people, they stay really calm and centered. So of course, what is asked of us right now is to stay calm and centered during these turbulent times. Also, of course, it's gonna last a couple, of months. We have quite a time of turbulence ahead, and we have these US elections arriving. So I just wanted to say a little word about that. First of all, we're not even sure that they're actually going to occur, because there's a kind of very changing energy around it, not around the results, because I do see that the ex-US President Trump is going to be re-elected. And by the way, we also might ask ourselves why there was an attempt on his life, you know, like some other political figures in the world recently, where there were also attempts to take their lives. Every time there is a dissident voice, you know, for some reason, that person gets attacked. And we might ask ourselves why. Why are they, you know, bothering the system so much? And I'm just going to, you know, guide you to the video I did in 2020 during lockdown. I was talking about that. We are really in the continuity. So the video is The Light Has Won, in case you want to check it out. We are really in that continuity right now. I know that concerning this particular ex-US and maybe future US president, not all agree. I'm just going to leave it with, you know, that question. Why are we attacking him? Why is he bothering the system so much? I leave it up to you. And finally, I just wanted to say a word about finances, the economy, the global economy, because I see that a lot of people are scared about it, because there are a lot of people talking about this great crash coming up. For now, at this time, I don't see a major crash. I see turbulence. So in the same way that the energies, the world energies are going to be turbulent, of course the economy is going to be turbulent. So for now I only see that. I don't see like a major crash. But anyway, I've been repeating, you know, ever since I have this YouTube channel when I address that question. By the way, just a disclaimer, I'm no financial advisor, but when people ask me, that's what I answer. I always say, don't have all your money in one place, you know, try to diversify. So buy a bit of, you know, precious metals, a bit of earth, a bit of land, a bit of real estate, etc., etc. I do not believe in cryptocurrency, by the way. I don't think that's the future. Apparently, I read that also that Bitcoin is not really considered like cryptocurrency. It's actually like a commodity, so it's different. But anything that is not backed by something, you know, like concrete and material, I wouldn't bet too much on it. That's my personal view. So I'm just gonna finish off, you know, talking about that powerful message of Richard Lionheart, and maybe you can read that message again and really, you know, like own that message. And for me, that's also a message, you know, like the warrior of light. That's really the energy I got. And also all this, you know, this aspect of getting humanity out of the dark, out of ignorance, and into the light of truth, into the light of unity, into the light of knowledge, into the light of unconditional love. Satnam, see you soon.